Imagine it's 12 months from now and you're looking back on your best year ever. Today we'll look at a 3-step process that you can use to set your goals and design your year so that you can achieve all the things that you want to without burning out or giving up. If you're new here, my name's Emily. In 2015 I gave up my management job to pursue a life more in line with my values. Since then I've built 2 businesses and learned how to design a purpose-driven life. Here, I help you figure out what matters to you and how you can build a life that you love. A lot of us go through life chasing goals that other people have told us will make us happy, like promotions, a nicer car and a bigger house, without questioning if they're what we really want. So then when we achieve them, we don't actually feel any sense of fulfillment. I explored this in my video here. So it makes sense that to design your ideal year, you really need to get to the bottom of what you really want. And I don't just mean writing down the same old cliches that everybody does when they're writing down goals, like get fitter and eat better and sleep well. And they might be important to you, but there's probably goals beyond those that matter more. So we're going to use 3 different activities to get rid of these cliches, hit reset on your definition of success and fulfillment, and define what it is you actually want. It's easy to get bogged down in everyday life with all the responsibilities that we have to juggle. And it can lead us to just sort of live on default, where we're not really engaging with anything or really feeling truly alive. So this first activity is about reconnecting with what lights you up. Think back over the past year and see if you can identify 3 moments where you felt really happy, or perhaps you were really excited about something, or maybe you did something that made you feel really proud of yourself. For example, you might have had a fantastic day out with your family, or you might have been really excited about a meetup to do with one of your hobbies. Or maybe you gave a speech at a wedding, and even though you were absolutely terrified, you were so proud of yourself when you did it. Now that you've got some ideas written down, it's time to look for patterns in these. Were you with particular people, or doing particular activities? Or were you doing something just for fun? In the second activity, we're going to zoom back a little bit, look back over your whole life. Think about the most meaningful things that you've already done. Then reflect on why these mattered to you. When my tabletop gaming website earned more than my full-time corporate salary, I thought that I'd feel really happy and fulfilled, and I did for a while, but then I got this sense of restlessness, and I couldn't shake it. This next activity helped me figure out why and gave me a better sense of direction. To do this, search online for a list of values, or click the link in the description to go grab mine. From the list of 150 to 200 values, narrow it down to the 20 that mean the most to you. Then narrow this list down to 10 and then your top 5. When you're thinking about your goals for the next year, check if they align with these values. If they do, you'll be more likely to stick to them. But more than that, you'll feel a massive sense of fulfillment when you achieve them. Now that you're really clear on what matters to you, you're in a much better place to write down your goals for the next year. But just adding more goals to your already busy plate can be really overwhelming. And as soon as you think about setting goals that are outside of your comfort zone, your inner voices will pipe up, saying things like, I'm not smart enough to start my own business, I'm too tired after work to exercise. So we need ways to overcome both of these barriers, the practical and the mindset barriers. You only have so many hours in the day and you have existing responsibilities and commitments. Take a look at your schedule for a typical week or month and see if there's things in there that don't align with your values. Then look to see if you can get rid of them or maybe just reduce the time you spend on them. For example, I used to spend a lot of time cleaning my house because I felt like it had to be immaculate in case anybody popped round. But actually, clean enough is good enough for me. I've scaled back the amount of cleaning that I do, and it's given me more free time at the weekends. You might have got into a habit of meeting your friends after work several times a week, but as much as you love them, seeing your friends isn't progressing your life in the way that you want. So see if you can meet them a bit less often. While freeing up space in your calendar helps with the practical side of making time for your goals, sometimes clearing the internal narrative is where the real work actually starts. When you start to make changes in your life, your survival brain will kick in and try to keep you in the status quo. It'll say things like, but you can't stop seeing your friends all the time because then they won't like you anymore. And you need to keep your house clean, otherwise people will think you're lazy. But all these internal thoughts are just trying to stop you from making changes in your life because change can be difficult. There are several ways you can silence your inner critic. I wrote about them in a newsletter I sent a few weeks ago. I'll recap a few points here and I'll link to the newsletter in the description. Pay attention to exactly what your inner critic is saying and test each statement to see whether it's true. Use some scientific evidence-based thinking. So if it's saying that you'll lose your friends because you're not seeing them multiple times a week, question whether that's really true. I bet that you've got friends that you see a lot less often than that. To reduce the power that your inner critic has over you, and to create some distance between you and the voice, give it a name like Judgy Judy, and then it becomes a character that's separate to yourself. You can also swap out any negative statements for positive ones. So for example, if it says, "I'm not good enough," swap out that statement for, "I'm learning and I'm getting better." In general, shifting your focus to what's going well and reflecting on your accomplishments can really help silence your inner critic. Sometimes it can help to actually imagine turning the volume down on your inner critic voice, and then turning the volume up on your inner cheerleader voice. Now that you're clear on what matters to you, and you've cleared some space in your schedule, it's time for the most fun bit, actually planning your year ahead. There's 3 steps I like to follow when planning for my year. The first one I came across when my manager at work was learning how to be a coach. It's helpful for getting a holistic view of your life right now, and it encourages you to think about areas of your life that maybe you haven't given much thought to. You start with a circle and divide it into 6 to 12 sections, each labelled with a different aspect of your life. You can grab my version of this at my website. I'll put a link in the description. Reflect on each area of your life and rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of how well you feel that area is going. For areas that are lacking, you can make some plans to improve. And I think it's just as important to look at the areas that are going well. Think about what you're doing there. There might be things you can transfer into the areas that aren't going so well, but it also gives you things that you want to keep on doing in the year to come. In 2007, a study showed that people who write down their goals but also develop actionable commitments are more likely to achieve them. For some goals, like catching up with friends and family more often, this might be as simple as scheduling a phone call once a week. Larger projects, like earning $1,000 from your side hustle this year, will involve a lot more steps. Building a website might be one of these steps, but even within that, you've got lots of little tasks, like coming up with your domain name, buying hosting, writing content for the homepage, gathering all the photos. When you break down your large goals into smaller steps, it can make you realise just how much work there is to do to get to where you want to be. And that might lead you to a bit of a reality check in terms of how much you can realistically accomplish this year. The final step is the most important in terms of actually making your goals a reality. I like to start by looking at a typical week and how my goals might fit into it. Usually at this point, I realise I don't actually have that much time and try to clear things off my calendar. I also look for those pockets of time where I'm typically doing something on my own, like cleaning or commuting or having my lunch. Because often these are the times where maybe you could do 2 things at once. Maybe you could work on your side hustle during your lunch break at work. So if you were able to work for half an hour every day for a week, that's 2.5 hours, which is 10 hours in a month. And over a year, that's 120 hours you could have spent working on your side hustle. A few people I know drive quite long distances for work, and they use this time to make phone calls to family and friends. I listen to audiobooks while I'm cleaning or cooking, and I sometimes read non-fiction while Netflix is on. The last step is the one that always gives me a wake-up call and lights a fire under me to actually get cracking with the things that I want to do. Get a year view calendar and put in all of the big blocks that you know are going to happen in the next year. So this could be things like vacations or weddings or school dates. Then take a look at your big goals and set yourself milestones throughout the year that you want to hit so that you're not leaving all of the goal accomplishments for 12 months' time. Whenever I do this, it always makes me realise that 52 weeks is really not that long. You know that things are just going to come up throughout the year, so you might get sick or your family might need support. It really highlights to me that when I make a commitment to a goal, I should really make the effort to show up for myself. Because there will be times in the year where I can't do what I set out to do because life had other plans. I'll dive into lots of other tactics you can use to achieve your goals in my next video. Subscribe so that you don't miss it. Like this video if you found it helpful, and thank you for watching.